Okay. So hello everyone. Yeah, my name is Patricia from Patricia Bohl Marketing, and yeah, I'm really super excited and glad because this is my first interview after the virtual summit that I did end of September, and it's a great pleasure to welcome one of my the teachers of my local community here at the Yoga Loft in Cabarete, and it's my pleasure to interview Stephanie Smith today. Hi, Steph.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
Of
course. Would you like to, let's start with, how about you introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Stephanie Smith. I am originally from New York City, and I moved down to the Dominican Republic this year with my family.
Full time?
Full time, yes, full time. And I have been practicing yogi for 15 years or so. I'd always thought about yoga teacher training, never had the time. And once we moved here, what better time and what better place to immerse yourself into yoga and do the training. And I found a wonderful teacher, Chrissy Lefavor, who used to run this place and who is a wonderful teacher. And I became a yoga instructor after I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training here at the Yoga Loft.
Okay. And you're also a writer, right? Yes,
I am a writer, an author, a journalist. I worked for 20 years in New York media back in the States. I've written a book. And I'm working on children's books, and I'm teaching kids yoga, and a big part of why I wanted to teach kids yoga is because I had all these stories running in my mind that I tell my daughter, who's 3 years old, and that I've just written down in notebooks. And there's a lot of great ways to incorporate yoga into those stories and other stories. There's, if you look at yoga poses, a lot of them are animals, and they're fun characters. So I hope to write children's books that incorporate yoga in with them as well.
Was that the plan from the beginning, that you will focus more? First of all, did you know after the teacher training that you are going to teach, and did you know back then already that you want to focus on kids yoga?
No, none of this was a plan. None of it, I had no plan. What happened was, when we moved down here, for me, it was a tough transition to leave behind family and friends and a life I knew in New York, and come here and just have a totally, different, way of life. And so yoga was the one thing that helped me deal with, anxiety or sadness or that sort of thing. And the more I did yoga, the better I felt. So then I do yoga teacher training to really deepen my practice, as many people do. And then there became opportunities here to teach. And so I thought, okay, well, I might as well teach, because that would help me, strengthen my yoga practice and really ingrain the things that I learned during training, by teaching others. And the more I taught, again, the better I felt. And the kids thing came up as I started, you're doing yoga with, my daughter at home, and seeing how it really helped for us to connect, how it helped me as a mother, be a better mom, to be a little more patient, a little more mindful, And I just thought that, coupled with my desire to write children's books, it just all seemed to dovetail together.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. And 15 years ago you started your yoga practice. Can you remember how that happened? Was there a special moment where you found yoga, or was it through the gym, or?
Yeah, I remember a roommate took me to a yoga class. It was that simple, There's, Equinox Fitness in New York, and she simply was just like, I'm going to yoga, do you want to come? I went, it was great. There was an amazing instructor there named Jackie Pratt, I believe her name is. Been teaching for 20 years, she's probably still there. And her classes were great, and the things that were great about it were, she was funny. But she was, she did a lot of storytelling, there were a lot of personal moments. But there was just a lot of, it wasn't like, you have to do this or you have to do that, or to be a strict yogi you must do XYZ. There was a lot of you do what feels best for your body, and there was also a sense of progression too. So every time you went to her class, you felt like you were tapping into something that you might have done in an older class, but also learning something new every time. And so I just continued with it, and then for me, yoga became the thing that helped me de-stress after a long week of work, or help me, reconnect with myself, or help me deal with anxiety or stress. And it was really great. And I was just lucky to find a couple of really great instructors that I stuck with for many, many years until I came here.
Okay.
And then found, my new yoga, teachers down
here. And now
here.
you're teaching yourself.
Yeah.
And we were talking already a little bit that you are a mom of a beautiful 3-year-old daughter. You are a published author. And how do you think your writing background influences your teaching style? For example, new yogas always stress about finding their voice. Was that a topic for you?
Yeah, I think when I first started teaching yoga, what I thought about was like, how am I going to have the authority, right, to really be, this teacher that's walking people through poses and helping them find their, whether it's a spiritual journey or finding more flexibility, whatever their goal is in the yoga, right? But in the end, being yourself is always what's going to be best, right? So there's, parts of me that people can relate to. Being a mom, there's many moms who come to this class, many people with kids that come to this class. Being, my background, being from the States, moving to a new place, how, the feeling of having to de-stress after, whether it's, people come here on vacation, so they're trying to escape whatever sort of pressures from their day-to-day as well. So I can relate to that too. But then packaging all that into some like entertaining way, while they're in the class. Yeah, exactly. And giving some kind of journey is important. So I think my ability to storytell, but also my ability to listen, because when you're a journalist, you listen to other people a lot. People tell you their stories. So making myself this kind of person where people want to open up, where people want to be vulnerable enough to try new poses in class, or to stretch a certain way, or relax, completely in the class. I think is
not
also
push
important.
it too hard as well, and be too ambitious, and
and I think that's just as important, whether it's storytelling, journalism, or teaching yoga. The listening is just as important as the telling. So I find that's a big part actually of teaching yoga, to not over-interpret, but holding space in a way where you feel like, okay, now I have a connection. I know how people feel in that class. That was something I was struggling with in the beginning. Not guiding people through the class, that was quite structured and easy for me, but reading what's going on in the people. So really that active or passive active holding space part. Like one thing I like to do in the beginning is ask people questions, where they're from, what they're here, what are they doing while they're here, are they surfing, are they kite surfing, because then you get a sense of what their body has been going through over a couple of days, what parts might be sore, what parts might be need to be stretched or need to be relaxed a little bit more before you go into the class. But then that's also fodder for a little back and forth banter as you're moving through the poses, you know, so you can say to somebody like, well, since you've been surfing all day and your back is extended a certain way, like you might want to do this to relax, to relax the other way. So it's all sort of like a back and forth. It's not just sort of like me telling my story. It's finding other people's stories too, and sort of telling their story in a way that
having a nice, really community vibe in during class where people feel safe. So let's dive a little bit deeper into kids yoga. Does storytelling help you there in a different way?
Oh yeah. So with kids, totally different ball game. So you know they have very short attention spans, and depending on what age group you're teaching, you're not necessarily teaching, for the point of relaxing from a long day of work and whatnot, right? So, one thing you do is I tell stories along with the yoga, so it's sort of half story time, half yoga. Okay. So I like to take the kids on what I call like a yoga adventure. Okay. And sort of set up the class that way, like, okay, kids, we're gonna like take an adventure in the jungle, right? And they sort of prep for an adventure in the jungle, but using yoga along the way. So if we're packing a picnic, they're taking the long stretch to reach up overhead and reach for their toes to open up their picnic baskets, and then reaching for fruit or reaching for their sandwich to pack the picnic baskets. And then we meet characters along the way, and oftentimes, yoga poses are like monkey and frog and fish and whale and shark and stuff like that. So it's, you're using the names of poses and poses that are already there, but packaging it in a way where the kids can relate relate, and also the kids can be interactive.
Yeah.
So if it's like, oh, you know, we've encountered like this monkey along the way, we know what's the monkey doing in the jungle? Is he swimming, or is he jogging? Is he, you know, opening a treasure chest? You know, they have the chance to then sort of dictate the poses that might come next, or, you know, initiate a game that we might do in the class.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like very important. Very important, because they don't want to feel like it's work. You know, kids do not want to feel like yoga is medicine, right? You know, they want to feel like it's fun, like it's an adventure, like it's, you know, something cool. And the older they get, I feel like they want to do stunts and tricks and, you know, that sort of thing. So it's about kind of packaging it in a way that's, you know, one, they're going to stay safe, and they're going to stay interested, and then also feel like they're not like having to take their medicine by doing the yoga. You know, they're learning mindfulness and all that stuff.
Yeah, because you really take them out of their head.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And coming back to the storytelling part, that's a topic I'm a little bit obsessed about these days, both when holding space online for my yoga community with writing blogs or creating nice social media posts, but also during class. If we come back to that topic of having, how storytelling can help you to conduct a yoga class. What do you think, if we talk now about the yoga on the mat part, what do you think are elements of storytelling in yoga? Yeah, the elements of storytelling, yes. So, you know, I don't think you need to be, you know, some sort of Shakespearean type of yogi and go into long soliloquies during class, because, you know, people are there to tune into their own breath and their own body. But, you know, even if you use the beginning of class to sort of set the stage for, you know, whatever they want to search for in class, like that could be part of a storytelling, you know, if it's, now you've asked people sort of what they've done with their day, and you're sort of like, okay, you know, use that to sort of find within yourself as you're traveling through the poses, as you're traveling through the breath, to sort of figure out like what your own story is going to be, like what your purpose in your yoga class is going to be. So translating, setting the sankalpa, the intention, into a more accessible way. Right. Because that's a good point. I think I will steal that from you, because that is something when we are like, okay, now let's set our intention, find your sankalpa, that's like, oh, I'm under pressure. Right. But people feel very like sort of, on the mat. It has to be meaningful. It has to be meaningful. It has to be like my meaning for the end of all time. But it doesn't have to be, right? If like, particularly here when someone's coming on vacation for a short period of time, but they're doing certain things, and oftentimes they end up doing new things. Maybe someone's trying surfing for the first time, or trying some sport for the first time. Well then, or finding their way back into fitness. This is what we have here. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that sets the stage for an intention that only has to live for maybe a day or an hour in the class, right? And that's to, you know, whether let go of expectations or just open themselves up to learning something new, right? So that's where finding someone else's story is helpful in your storytelling. And then also, I do think being yourself can go a long way, right? So if you've I've seen some yoga teachers that really just talk about their day. They talk about their morning. They woke up late, the cat bit them, you know, all of that stuff. And it might seem silly, but it adds a bit of levity, you know, to the class, where people, they find a bit of humor, and they find that sense of, this is not, you know, yoga doesn't have to be this like serious, you know, practice where like if I do something wrong, I failed. You know, it's a sense of like, things come up and then things go away, like in this sort of, you know, that nature of like letting go, how things are supposed to pass over us like a wave. Even a silly story about how, like, you know, the cat knocked over your breakfast illustrates how obstacles come up and then obstacles float away. So like, I feel that people shouldn't discount the value in their stories, no matter how silly they might seem or imperfect they might seem. There's value in those. That life happens to everybody. Life happens to everyone. And it doesn't have to be a big story. No, it doesn't at all. It could be something super small, you know. If you love coffee and you talk about coffee for 60 minutes, believe me, there's other people in your class who are going to love coffee. And you'll find some little lesson in that, you know, like life is a mix of cream and sugar, whatever it is, you know. I also believe humor is just, I'm a big fan of humor. I use humor a lot. I like to crack jokes in class, you know, because I think it helps people to relax, you know. You'll see people like struggling and they're trying to hold on very tightly in a pose, and you know, sometimes it's key to let go. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to let go
Yeah.
to, you know, go deeper. And humor is a really easy way to do that.
To connect with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now coming, as I was already talking about holding space online, I know that this, I sent you in advance a list of questions, and this is not a question that was on the list.
It's okay.
But I know that you are building your website. It's Salt Sand Yoga, so everybody go check her website out. I already had a look at it, and she says she's building it, and it's really, really beautiful already.
Thank you.
How did you connect your yoga and storytelling on that beautiful website? The images, of course, are beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, with the website, I thought about, well, one, I wanted to make sure that my personality came through in the write-ups. And, you know, there is a bit of humor. There is a bit of jokey sort of storytelling in the beginning that just draws people in. And I wanted to, you know, the photos are beautiful. Thank you to Kate Lefavor, who took the pictures. But I think they also, you know, inject a bit of approachability. You know, you see a lot of sites where the yoga instructors are basically doing the trickiest poses, or like the most pretzel-like poses, right?
Yeah.
And that's great and cool, and I can do some of those, and that's awesome. But being that I'm, you know, there to teach a variety of styles, from vinyasa to kids yoga, there's a variety of people who are going to come to the site. And so I wanted things up there that, you know, poses that people could attain or aspire to, but not feel so, you know, disjointed from, and feel like, oh my God, she's, you know, in these ridiculous poses that I could never achieve in her class. So
that's interesting. And what will you do with the website? Will you fill it with blogs, or will you just have it as a landing page to guide people to contact you, or what's the goal with the website?
I would like to include content up there, so to build out like a blog section, because I feel like, again, that goes with the storytelling. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons why I do yoga, and there's a lot of lessons that I've learned as I've gone through this journey that I think people can relate to. And also with the kids, that's the other thing too. I feel like I'm learning it on two angles. There's, you know, as a woman, as an adult, as a, you know, person with a career and all that stuff that has used yoga a certain way. I've learned those lessons. But also in teaching children, I've learned a whole different set of lessons. And I think it'll be interesting to see what one person can learn on both sides. And so people coming to the blog, you know, they might not have children. They might not ever do a kids yoga class or watch a kids yoga class or have any interest in a kids yoga class, but there's lessons that they can learn too. That I can tell from teaching kids yoga. Beautiful
that you did you have that in mind already before designing that website, making space for that, or is that just like something like, I think that could work? Or
I mean, I knew I wanted to have content eventually. Like right now, when I say I'm building the sites, because, and I'm a person where one of my faults is I will work on something and try to get it perfect and massage, and then never put it out there. And, you know, thanks to my husband, who is Mr., you know, done is better than perfect, he said, let's build a landing page and just get it out there. And then it's live, you grow it and you perfect it from there. So, you know, just to get it out live, I just needed the basics, you know, info, contact information, social media links, and then
your
go.
Schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, because I mean, as we know, yoga is a journey and life is a journey, so you will always change in a certain way. Right now, being a mom is a big topic, but and as I teach, you know, the images will change, you know, the images of me will change. I might be teaching with other people. You know, I hope to do events and retreats going forward. And so I'd like it to be, a place that people can come and get some inspiration and, you know, find me and be able to take classes with me, but also, you know, come and read some, you know, blog posts and maybe take a lesson or two and then just feel good, you know? Beautiful. Really nice. Is there something you would like to share in terms of formula or guideline that could help us in getting started with using storytelling in teaching yoga? What I already found a really good advice is it doesn't have to be a big life event or aha moment, just sharing already the little things, using humor. Is there something else that pops up into your mind?
Wow, a special formula. Well, I do.
Your secret sauce.
My secret sauce. You know, I just think my secret sauce is just being myself, you know. I feel like I've learned a lot from a lot of great yoga instructors who are very experienced, who have done, you know, years and years worth of study, who speak Sanskrit perfectly and know, again, advanced poses, and that's wonderful and great, and I've learned so much from them, and taking class with them is a special experience.
Yeah.
But the reason that people come to my classes and what they're going to get from me is my story, and I feel like being personal and sort of telling what's true to you, I think is what's going to get people the furthest in class, you know? I think everyone, they have a unique perspective. They did something unique that morning before they came to class. You know, they like certain music, they love certain foods, and all of that can become part of, you know, the stories and the sequences they teach in class. And so I think just be true to that, and don't try to be someone that they're not, you know. If they feel like, you know, this pressure to be some yoga guru or spiritual guru. I mean, the fact that they're there and they've done the training is enough. Is enough,
It's always enough.
You just need the personal connection, you know? Oh, and I would say ask questions about other people. Don't think it's all about you.
No, it's
not. You know? That's like the whole, like, ego, you know, thing is, you know, you have to remember it's about the students and it's not about yourself. So you end up asking a lot of questions in the beginning, and that becomes your story, you know?
And also just try it out. I think that's the biggest hurdle for me at the moment, that nothing is too insignificant to share. Just try it out. And also one thing I learned is explain the aha moment, if that makes sense. So when I'm ending a story, share how that made me feel, or why this little incident with dropping my coffee cup in the morning, or my dog has diarrhea right now, or maybe this is a little bit oversharing, but maybe sharing what was the essence, what sparked in me, why do I think I need to share that right now, if that makes sense.
For sure, I would agree. Agree.
Is there anything else you would like to add in general, and as well something I didn't ask about storytelling, teaching yoga in general?
I mean, I would just say in general, I'm very surprised at how this journey, where I've landed on this journey, right? You know, a year ago, I would have never imagined myself as a yoga teacher or really concentrating on kids yoga. I had a child. I knew that yoga, I would hope, would be a part of her life, and I knew it was good for me, but I didn't know how impactful it would be, right? So I would just say, just stay open and stay hopeful, and just you never know, like, where this journey is going to take you and what you can learn from certain people or a certain class or a certain approach, and just don't, like, undervalue your own kind of place in all of that, in all of that growth, because you'd be surprised at, like, where you end up, like, every day, and how much growth and progression you could make every day if you just try something new, or put yourself out there, or be a little more vulnerable to, like, experience, like, certain feelings or things like that.
Did you know a year ago that you were moving to the Dominican Republic?
We're in November. We wanted to move, so yes, a year ago we wanted to move out of the country. We wanted to have an adventure. My daughter was turning 2, and we had been in New York for a very long time, and we thought now is the time, while she's still young, to try something different. And we looked around the world. We looked at different countries. We looked at different cities in the States as well, and we were looking for warmer weather. We were looking for a place where we could do our outdoor activities. My husband loves to kite surf, and I love yoga and running and all of that stuff. So we wanted a place, the beach was ideal. And we were looking for a community and a place where we could really immerse ourselves into a different culture. So a different language, you know, a place that, you know, people had, you know, like routines and stuff. So we landed here because we had come to visit here a bunch of times before. We, you know a lot of people in town here. We've kite surfed here before. And, you know, it's close to home, and it's just a wonderful place to be. There's so many kids. Everyone's just, this has been an unbelievable experience.
It is.
And
yeah.
you know, if we move tomorrow or if we move in 10 years, we can always look back at this special time that we had with our young daughter and look at this adventure we've had and say, like, that was worth it.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Steph. I
Thank
really
you.
loved that interview. And to close it, I think, guys, I will flip the camera around so that you can see what we are talking about, why this is such a beautiful space here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Okay, so here I am again. As promised, I wanted to show you the view from our beautiful little yoga space here at the Yoga Loft in Cabarete in the Dominican Republic. Just to share with you what kind of view Steph and I were enjoying while doing that interview. Yeah, I hope you liked that interview. Let me know in the comments, write me an email. I'm looking forward to what you thought of it. Bye.